Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to some more Warforge. And we're doing the rounds with the Dark Angels here on the deck guides. And so the next one I wanted to jump to was the Teleportation Station with Azriel. And I genuinely think this is the deck to be playing for the Dark Angels. Teleport is extremely strong. It's not terribly hard to pilot either. I think it just is extremely powerful and consistent, and I would say more consistent than what kind of the all-in secrets have to offer so far. And we'll see if balance changes happen, if other updates happen. Maybe this isn't the top bill, but as of right now, even competing with the menace that is the Sisters of Battle, I think Azriel and his teleport crew really put up quite the fight. So we'll talk about Azriel, his strengths and weaknesses, the deck's overall strengths and weaknesses, and I don't think there are a ton of weaknesses. And I think this is going to be one of the builds to beat. So thank you as always for your support on the channel. Feel free to subscribe if you like what you're seeing. Hoping to do more content too for members in the future, but for now we're just getting back into the groove of really putting out a couple of videos or doing some streams each week. So feel free to stop by either of those. I appreciate all the support working towards that 1K subscriber goal on YouTube. But other than that, let's just dive in and teleport to wherever we must go. Okay, so what is Azriel bringing to the table? And the answer is quite a lot. 40 health Warlord, that plus 5 health, as we all know, matters. And there are plenty of 40 health Warlords that have always kind of been the meta decks for their factions. Thinking about Swarmlord, thinking about Abaddon, although that's changed a little bit. And so what does he do? His agenda, right? So you can elect to, instead of attacking, use your agenda ability, choose a card from your deck, and put it at the top of your deck. And obviously with Teleport, well, I'll talk about all those cards. He is the best enabler for Teleport, and I think Teleport is the end-all, be-all for this faction in terms of power. And so I think that's why Azriel gets a bit of the nod over Belial, although Belial's super fun to play and beats down. And if you haven't caught that video, feel free to check that out. But Azriel really is kind of the big brother, I think, in this scenario, or the little brother. I don't know who's younger or older, but he's not as susceptible to stun, obviously. And then he offers a lot in his talent too. So Supreme Grandmaster, honestly, I would say you're opening with this pretty much every game. And it does provide enough utility that I think it's pretty worthwhile to be playing if you're comparing Belial and Azriel straight up to be playing Azriel. So it gives a permanent buff, +1/+1 to your troops. And if you don't have any troops on the battlefield, you get an intercessor in your hand. So yes, you do have to spend time deploying this, getting that one quest progress, which honestly is sort of like incidental. We're not really trying to do quest accumulation, but it doesn't hurt in the late game to have some pretty powerful spells in your deck. So it offers quite a lot, right? So basically, turn 1, you're going to make a guy, then you're going to play it later. Then whenever you land a board, you can start buffing your board. We have a lot of resilient units. We've got armored units. So Azriel's, there's a lot going on here, right? You can make units yourself, buff your own units once you've established the board, and you can fish in your deck basically starting turn 3, on 3 energy, so turn 2, to set up your Terminator, your teleport draws moving forward. And you can elect to do that or not do that. And the way that I approach it in some of these games is if I have my 4-drop or 5-drop set up, and I really could be putting pressure by attacking with my Warlord or clearing a unit or something like that, then great, I don't have to use my agenda that turn. But if I'm trying to smooth my hand and smooth how the game is going to play out, then I can use my agenda ability. So it's really versatile, and you can really do quite a lot with it. And that's really what Azriel is, coming to the table with, and I think offers quite a lot. So let's get into the build. All right, so at the teleportation station, you will notice between my Belial build and this, there's not a huge difference. And again, that's because I just think a lot of these cards work very, very well together. So to go through it quickly, Inner Circle, staple in these decks, absolutely excellent. And, as Ecclesiarch had explained in one of his videos for Azriel, you're able to use Inner Circle and then let's say you'd like to put something else on top of your deck, then you can use Azriel's agenda ability to put that card right on top of it. So it's not like his ability has dyssynergy with Inner Circle. It actually can just help you to continue to manipulate the top of your library, which is quite strong in a game that's based around tempo, and in many ways curving out. So Inner Circle, just a staple, should be in every deck. Sergeant Taman, still just a great cheap unit. You can get a little questing going on, but more than anything, counters other stealth, right, by playing your own stealth unit afterward. Can really help you contain some of the early board pressure from Sisters. So Taman, I think, just makes the cut in my build. The Rock, I've been singing the praises of this card, whether you're making a Sergeant Taman, whether you're healing your units, which you then are buffing with Azriel's ability and stuff like that. The Rock is just versatile enough and cheap enough that I really think it does pull its weight. Black Knight, just cheap, efficient removal, just a really great breakpoint with the 4 ranged attack and the flank. And sometimes you get those quest progress, and great, you've got a little bit of bonus value there. Deathwing Assault, we're going to see in the opening game how this card just outright won me the game from a really difficult position, pretty much out of nowhere, and you'll probably be able to guess how, but this thing is just, because you're setting it up in this deck, because you can see this card more often, because you're using your agenda ability, Deathwing Assault gets even more mileage, which is crazy to say because this card's already disgusting on its own. So that is the old Deathwing Assault. Librarian, still very good, just a good body, annoying to deal with, has the shield, can draw some of those stratagems as well. So I've really, really liked Librarian. I still love playing Ravenwing Speeder. Good body, good stats, gets you a little bit of value here. Can even benefit from getting flank off of the Ravenwing Talonmaster. Another great just kind of tempo aggro-y. Also utility into stealthers, and I talked about that earlier on stream and in my video. Being able to ping out those pesky warp talons potentially is a game-winning ability. So all of those speeders are doing well. And to kick it off with the teleport, absolute champions, the Deathwing Terminator. This is just what you want to be playing on 4 energy. It's so good. It's got health, it's got armor, you can buff it, it's hard to take out, and it's got the teleport ability, which allows you to really cut through those Sisters of Battle quite easily. So Deathwing Terminator is excellent. Master Lazarus, I love re-triggering teleport abilities of things, so I don't even have to deal with like trading. Obviously I can hit for 5 if I want to, if he lives, but honestly 9 times out of 10, if I could play a teleport unit that maybe was bricked, stuck in my hand, and I didn't get the teleport trigger, great, I'll go Master Lazarus on 4, play my 4 or 5 drop teleport, activate the teleport ability. They still have to take this guy out, and it just offers a ton of utility. Unwavering Zeal, you'll see, I think in multiple of these games, just absolutely eviscerates Sisters for the most part. I love this card. It is insane that it doesn't target, so it gets around camouflage, and obviously gets around stealth. So it's just nuts. Deathwing Knight, this is one of the guys you got to be careful about. This thing plus Deathwing Assault is 12 damage, potentially to the Warlord at 8 energy. It is just the scariest bonking that you are going to receive from the Dark Angels. Ravenwing Ancient, again, really, really great flank unit. Sometimes you get the slay value, so it's just perfect utility unit. And then another teleporter here with Deathwing Strike Master. When you teleport this thing, it just offers so much value. Buffing your Warlord permanently, buffing itself. It's already a huge stat stick. And we'll see how that also, interacts favorably, of course, with Deathwing Assault. Ezekiel, just obviously a very insane unit, has a ton of utility. Oftentimes you don't even need to swing with this thing, and then you get a free 3 energy, deal 3 to 5, and then you'll get some even quest progress. If it kills something, it's just, hands down a great unit. Deadly Hunters saves your bacon every time you're behind. This is one of the cards that allows you to win games that you just flat out should not be able to. So that is another staple. We got my boy Sammy, running in on his big vehicle and giving you card advantage as well. This card is just an absolute house. And then one of my new favorites, Deathwing Nightmaster. Although I will say, on stream, I had this stranded in my hand more times than I would like to admit. But again, this thing can just outright win you the game, and I think deserves one slot as your curve topper in this deck. So that is Teleportation Station. Honestly, I think it's pretty straightforward. So let's just hop into some pretty awesome games. Okay, so we're going to start off. We're going to have two Asmodai games in these battle logs because they're honestly both insane for their own reasons. But so first things first, when you play with Teleport, obviously you don't want to have any of those Teleport cards in your hand. So unless your hand is super bad, you're usually not mulliganing too much other than the Teleport unit. So perfect hand, we're happy to keep it. And then we're going to get rid of one Teleport card, and we end up getting the Nightmaster instead. So a little unfortunate, but you know, here we are. Bring up the sound a little bit for you guys. So yeah, Asmodai is going to do his thing, right? Just accumulating quests. Obviously, we draw another Teleport card, not our favorite, and we just want to get on the board here using the rock to make a Sergeant, and then we could start setting up draws. And there we don't really have any good options. Sorry, it's so quick in the battle logs. But I take Deadly Hunters because I'm like, I don't really want either of the other two. And Deadly Hunters is just going to be good pretty much always, especially in the later stages of the game. And Asmodai tends to be able to go late quite effectively. So here we're just going to work on, trying to apply pressure. And honestly, the way this game goes, it does not go well for us. But with a combination of some pretty incredible stuff, we're able to kind of turn the tide, as it were. So here I just need to be working on clearing the board. I don't want them just to keep accumulating value off of these agenda cards. And Librarian basically has a kill me immediately sign on his face most of the time. So that's what we're going to have to end up focusing if we can. So yeah, just pretty straightforward stuff. Asmodai is just going to keep, accumulating quest progression. Let me see Deathwing Assault. We're not terribly happy to see it at this stage in the game, but hopefully it will come in handy later. And here I just run out the Terminator, right? All I can do is clear that unit, apply my own unit, and hope that at some point I could start, get this Librarian off the board and see what I can do. So obviously if you see this attack, they're probably going to be able to clear your Terminator. And the Ancient comes in and does a great job of doing that. Gets the Slay trigger as well. And this is not what you want to... You don't want to be on the back foot as Asmodai, or as Azriel. So a lot of Azing with this faction. So here I basically just say, okay, I don't have the best way of really clearing things out. I just sort of use that bop there to clear off the shield, which is pretty awful. But to me, I was like, well, I could play out the Intercessor and some of the other stuff, but I think I just need to try and make whatever progress I can on the board for Ravenwing Ancient, or likely for Deadly Hunters, because we're just kind of falling further and further behind on tempo on this board. So I know that it's likely we're going to have to use Deadly Hunters to try and stabilize the board state. And it's just one of the best ways to do that, which is incredible. So definitely one of the most powerful cards for this faction. So pretty much just going to try and clear out what I can. It's a good time to use the Ancient to get rid of the Librarian. Going to play out the Intercessor as well, because why not? We've got that one energy. Get a secret in our deck, which hopefully will come in handy as the game goes on. And then I just want to work on the Apothecary, which gives Asmodai full value, right? Basically hasn't lost any health. But playing this way, right, I have to play into the Taman. I basically don't have a board, so... and this is perfect, right? They get to strike, which gives them quest progression, and then they get to heal. And so I pretty much know I have to use Deadly Hunters here. So... Yep, they're just going to do their thing. gaining life, getting quest points. Yeah, thankfully there's not a ton happening on board here. I elect for Deadly Hunters because I just want a full clear. Could make the argument that I could have played out Ezekiel here. Could have done like Master Lazarus plus some other stuff, but I pretty much just say to myself, all right, I'm going to have, you know, a bike left over. I can maybe set up my next draw, and we see the Strike Master, which is what you want to see for the top of your library. And just hope that from there we can kind of, you know, stabilize. But I like the adaptation here with running the Deathwing Terminator. So they're actually able to just clean up this board completely without much trouble. So not too happy about that. But we're not under a ton of pressure. We are behind, but we're actually ahead on cards, which is good. And so Strike Master is actually going to, you know, buffer us a little bit. And so hopefully we can kind of figure things out from there. So I elect for Grandmaster just to buff the Strike Master as well, knowing that there isn't a ton of hard removal outside of the 7-drop card. And I snag the Deathwing Knight, you know, in hopes that through our teleport value, we can kind of get there. But they have their own Strike Master. And so they can chip away, which is nice with the little ping. And so they start, you know, being able to work on this Strike Master. Thankfully, they are not able to clear it. They used ping. They used both their Warlord and the Terminator to work on it. And so we just happen to have the right formula of cards to win this turn. It takes me a bit of time. It's faster in the replay, but we go Deathwing Knight, hit for 5. We go Deathwing Assault, hit for 7. Plus, we get the Strike Master buff, so it's 8. Hit for 11, hit for 4. And so we actually deal 28 damage in one turn with Deathwing Assault. So, had to start off with the craziest game I had on stream yesterday. And it was just nuts. So, pretty nice one to start off. Let's get into the other ones. Okay, definitely wanted to show at least one game playing into the Sisters. And here, pretty easy mulligan. Don't want Deathwing Knight in my hand, and I don't really want Sam in my hand either at this stage in the game. And unfortunately, we draw a Terminator, but it is what it is. And I'm just grateful that I'm not playing Belial here, because things get pretty dicey. So they have the best opening, which is guaranteeing essentially 2 faith with prayer. And so I know I just need to be on top of the board as much as I can. Knowing that they're going to likely throw out a 3-drop here. Right, so I got to beat the shield off. And then I play out Taman because it's just going to help me try and stop them from accumulating faith. So if we hadn't had that 2-drop, right, this is going to get pretty dicey pretty quick. So Taman, thankfully, with our buff from Azriel, that's going to allow us to clear the priest very cleanly. We're going to be able to hit Erica to stop her from praying. And then we get to use Inner Circle to set up our next draw, which is not bad. And as you might spy down here, we've got 2 Unwavering Zeals, which are pretty crippling to the Sisters in particular. So there, I forget what I took. Wouldn't be Strike Master because obviously we can't play it, so forget that what that was. So they have to hit, right, which is great. They're not praying, they're not gaining health, but they run out the Sacred Rose Sisters, and thankfully we've got the exact answer in our hand to stop this progression. Right, I went for Inner Circle because I was like, I know I'm going to play one of these 4-drops this turn, so then I can Inner Circle. And I choose to hit here, right, because I can set up my draw with Inner Circle anyway. And I want to be putting out pressure. And so we're going to take the Ancient because obviously being up-tempo in this matchup is incredibly important. That we're addressing whatever they're playing each turn to keep making progression. So here they have a nice response, but we've got a second Unwavering Zeal ready to go. And Erica is sort of out of cards at this point. Well, not out of cards, but very low on cards. So this is just like pretty much the perfect sequence for us. And we're up 10 health. We've cleared their board, multiple turns. And here they have a pretty weak play with Crusader with no armor and just hitting me. So this is our time to pretty much keep pressing forward. And those Zeals have done 6 damage, right? So like we're still chugging along. Fortunately, we draw the Deathwing Knight. Just like not what we want to see on 6 energy. But it is what it is. Take advantage whenever you can of his ability when your board is clear, because just getting those extra intercessors can make a difference. It's basically drawing a little card, right? A little shroop, and that matters as the matchups get later and later. So happy to see Cleansing Flame here, which is essentially just a 1-for-1. Plus they have to take 4 anyway. So we're very much in the driver's seat, and that's what you have to do, right? When you're playing against sisters, and especially if they have clunky draws, is you just got to punish as much as you can. So here I just go, all right, let me stick out the Terminator. Honestly, I think there's an argument I should have played Lazarus first, because then when I play the Terminator next turn, then I can activate the ability. I think here I was just saying, you know what, let me just get these on the board, buff them, and then I'll maybe apply Lazarus later. But I think that was a weird sequence. I don't know why I did that. I think Lazarus is just better first, because then you can use the agenda ability the next turn when I play this. So, decent response, but at this point in the game, and with how much damage we have, and the fact that we've got Sammy too to take care of literally any unit basically in the game, it's pretty much over with. So here we actually can deploy Lazarus and Deathwing Assault, which is more than enough to really basically carry us to victory. This is 11, 12, 13, so we don't have lethal, but we just basically make our board able to clear their board and stick around to tell the tale. And then we just beat down. And we've got 2 obviously excellent late game cards, especially Sammy, which is going to draw us a card pretty much every time. So, able to stun here after they get the relics, but obviously this game is pretty well over. We've also got a 5/5 intercessor, which is pretty disgusting. And that is going to do it. Lethal on board, obviously, between these 2. Yeah, that's definitely the power, and especially if their draws are not so good, how to get there. So we're gonna do one more Asmodai matchup, because it was nuts against a one of the all-time greats, Aquaman, and then we'll close it out with a loss, which was tough to one of the top players. So stick around. Okay, just us Dark Angel Battle Brothers battling it out, playing against King Aquaman, just one of our favorite streamers and content creators for Warpforge. And again, great. I mean, this is a great hand. I know the game's going to go late. Having Deathwing Assault and Deadly Hunters is excellent. So we just throw back the Strike Master, and this game goes late. And so we'll just be kind of talking about, how this goes back and forth, what we have to worry about. Because this build is definitely, doing quite a bit of questing. And so, getting those secrets late is pretty scary to deal with. And I can't wait to get to Forge level 20, because I really would love the other Forge card at level 20, because the effigy doesn't really do much. So here I'm just happy to put Lazarus on there. Like I said, you're usually using this ability early. Just a little bit of banter between us here. So yeah, Librarian, great 3-drop. Just excellent. But we're able to clear it. I'm just going to take the trade with Black Knight. I do not want them getting agenda. I do not want them getting cards. So just going to trade there and be happy about that. And really what it's going to come down to is, can we accumulate, enough of a board and deal with their board to close things out. And this game is just, it's a bit of a slog, but it's good. It's good to see it, and that maybe there were better lines to take as well. So here, I just don't really have a great way to deal with the card that they play. I also don't really want to hit because it's obviously going to heal. So I think I put Zeal on top there. It's got a good response here. Could have gotten this slight trigger. I think that was a slight miscalculation there. Not that it matters that much, but just hit with the Warlord first would have gotten a slay. So here I'm just gonna definitely go for Zeal. It allows me to clean up their board very nicely. I think I go for Inner Circle here. Yeah. I think pretty much whenever you can. Right? And then I'll snag the Deathwing Knight. So it's going to cost 4. So we get to play that. Potentially the Rock. And then Wages of Retribution. So it ends up mattering a lot. It does swing the tempo back in our favor, which is kind of what we want. But I will say Wages accrued quite a lot of value, and that's one of the legendaries I don't have. That's the only one. But I still think generally I want to be on the other side of this. So here I'm just like, you know what, let me draw a card. Let me get another Intercessor. I do want to be able to maybe get a little quest value. And here I could be beating down. I'm interested. Let me know in the comments what you think. But I think basically if I can set up the top card on my deck each turn, I'm going to try to. Unless there's a really big reason for me not to use my attack, then I think I'd rather them, have to attack me. It's a great ancient turn for them. Gets the slay, takes 0 damage. So that is the unfortunate part of running Mr. Deathwing with no ranged attack. So here we draw the Librarian, which isn't bad. But I just say, you know what? I'm going to play the Strike Master. And just make you kind of play to my board. We get to put a secret in, Smothering Decree, and then we get to look, and we've got our pick of the litter here. And I forget which one I take. I imagine I take the Strike Master, but so I'm going to ping there. Obviously, they can clear just with the Ancient, unfortunately. And with the Tech Marine, which I haven't really played. I haven't found room for him, but it's a really nice line that Aquaman has here. So this basically has taken no damage, gets another slay trigger, and we've got no board, so it's not great. And I believe it's here where I just have to unfortunately play away from the teleport and just play Deadly Hunters, because if I play Strike Master into this board, yeah, I can clear the 3-drop, but then I'm not really dealing with anything else. So it is unfortunate. It's not that I'm 10 health above, right? So it's not like I would lose the game if I don't clear that board. But to me, I think if I'm not taking out the Tech Marine and the Ancient, I'm just going to be a little bit too far behind. Because the Ancient will probably just be able to kill the Strike Master anyway, by itself. So you hate to not play your teleport card when you've set it up, but I do think one of the skill expressions of this deck is not getting baited into teleport when it actually is not going to be helpful for you. So here I'm happy to see Samael now at 8 energy. We're getting into the later stages of the game, which is terrifying against Asmodai. And there's quite a lot of healing that is packed in as well. So makes use of Grim Resolve to get another quest progression. Gets that other quest progression here. And I mean, the good thing is that we're sort of up on cards, but we're going to have to start dealing with secrets very soon. I would assume. Because how many more cards do they have? Yeah, so 6 secrets in their deck, basically. So that's pretty scary when they've got 25 cards in their deck. So here And I'm just going to say, okay, let's play the Strike Master. And I go for the Deathwing Assault just to get the buff and try and build a really problematic unit. It also allows me to clear the Chaplain cleanly. Could have played out like Librarian and Rock and done some other stuff. I'm not sure that the line I took was the best there, to be honest. But I basically am saying to myself, I hope you don't have the 70 removal. And I'm just going to try and make use of that turn. So King Aquaman fully just takes his turn off, so that's pretty rough for them. And this allows me to start getting back in the driver's seat. Knowing that they have Deadly Hunters, likely too. But we can create a pretty resilient board here that also threatens a ton of damage. And then we can pick up Smothering Decree or Deathwing Knight. I forget which I pick. I think I end up going for the Deathwing Knight. But obviously being able to see the one secret we've added to our deck is pretty sick. And that's also why Azriel is pretty nasty that way. So yeah, just working on getting this Strike Master off the table. So able to do... And it's unfortunate that I didn't hit them for 10. But I did want to clear the Apothecary. And there's their own Rapacious Hunger there. So literally back to full health. But Asmodee's out of cards, and we still have plenty of gas. So, you know, that's kind of the value we've accrued, also using our talents. So here, I bop off the shields because in some scenarios, I think the Deathwing Knight might actually kill it, but might as well take advantage of the ability, clear it, get a secret in our deck, right? And then I can guarantee that the Deathwing Knight is going to obviously hit the Warlord, and then I just say, you know what? Let's turn on the heat. Let's, you know, then also heal our units so it's less likely that Aquaman could deal with our board. Again, there's a lot of different things you guys can do, you know, looking at these lines of play. So, you know, but there's the Rites of Penitence, or Penance, which we don't want to see. And just is a free clear. And I imagine if they're doing that, right, so it does have Vanguard, right, has to attack it, so might not have a way to get to the Ezekiel, which would be nice. Doesn't really matter because there's nothing to play to the board when I can't do anything. Yeah, so we get the Terminator. We're just going to play it, obviously, because having it sit in our hand doesn't really do anything. And I just want to not super overextend here. So I'm going to keep the flankers in my hand, buff the board, look at the top card of my deck, and pass the turn. But we hit the Smothering Decree too, which is, it's going to be useful. We see the other secret as well, which is pretty dang good. So, you know, being able to hit these couple incidental secrets we've added into our deck because we have so much deck manipulation is really nice. So still has to take some damage here, but it looks like another Smothering Decree. So gonna gain 6 health here and deal with most of the board. That's why we're not gonna overextend too hard. And I know that Samael is gonna probably be employed for a real threat. Like their own Samael. So. But because they actually have to take quite a bit of health trading, we don't even need to do that, which is pretty nice. So here, I'm just going to basically, you know, keep using my talent to kind of get extra pressure. I use the Ancient just to trade straight up. I don't know that this is correct. I think maybe just doing None Must Know on that, stunning Asmodee, is like totally acceptable. But, you know, when I used to play Orcs quite a lot, my thinking was like, if I can remove a unit with flank versus no mucking about, so in this case, None Must Know, I'd rather use a flanker, which is conditional removal, than use the unconditional. But I don't know. That might have been, I don't know, just a little too conservative. But I tend to think if these matchups go late, because getting a lot off of wages, right? I'd rather be conservative because I just want to set up lethal somehow, right? I think chucking away my Deathwing Assault early on was maybe not the move, the more that this game went on. So I think I learned quite a bit that it's not even about being conservative, but it's knowing your win cons, and Deathwing Assault is definitely one of them. So still accruing quite a few. Let's see, 19 to my 12, so there's 7 secrets in the deck now. I mean, it's literally, you know, basically half secrets in their deck. So we have to find a way to win this game as quickly as possible. So here I get to use the agenda, which is really nice. And I'm just setting up the Smothering Decree here, obviously. And that's totally fine. Which works out incredibly well because I'm basically going to heal. Not to full, but pretty dang close. Yeah. You can see how these games go really crazy long. So yeah. Heal back up to 30. And I've got a Telling Wing Master. Now I can hunt the Fallen. I was kind of keeping track of how many cards I had in my library because I don't want to get too hasty. Here, happy to see Deathwing Knightmaster. That is when you want to see this card. And here I just go with making a Taman because when I play Deathwing Knightmaster, everything gets buffed. And then I've still got Sammy in the pocket. I've still got None Must Know, you know, as backup. And Redemptor is a good draw here. They can definitely do quite a bit of work off of some of these agenda triggers. So obviously going to start working on this Talon Master. Yep, hits me in the face. Plays out the Tech Marine. But pretty much this whole game we're up on cards, which just really does make quite a difference. So here, I think we have lethal, pretty close to it. So teleport in, deals 3 to everything. Buffs all of my units plus 3. And then I buff them again with Supreme Grandmaster. Yeah. So yeah, that's that's how we can play into the late game. Yeah, we've got more than enough here. And GG's into Aquaman. This was an absolute banger of a match. Unfortunately, did not draw into the secrets, and that's the thing. I have better deck manipulation, and I'm also running teleports, so it just, you know. Oh, right, I was one short because of that heal from the Conquest, but yeah, we almost punted that for a second. Forgot about that. Quite the game. All right, let's get into the last one that unfortunately we were not able to prevail in, just to show a little bit of the weakness of the Dark Angels. And last, but certainly not least, we are playing against one of the top players, I think top 2, with Lionel Johnson on his Gordrang build, which honestly looks really fun, and I think I might try myself. And we could kind of see why it might do well into a Dark Angels meta. So we're back to Terminator. Honestly, our hand's great, but also this is very important. Void combat. When a player plays a stratagem, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. This is a great offense card to, you know, play aggressively into us. So honestly, I think the stars are a bit aligned. You know, this particular build with that Lionel is rocking and having Void combat. I don't know when you get this. I think it's probably like 30 or 40 Forge. Not sure. Oh, maybe it's less than that. I don't know. But I don't have it. So playing against it is rough. And I actually hold the Grim Effigy because I can use this to ping something. So we do get a little bit of advantage, but essentially each turn, Lionel is hitting us for 5, and even more with Grot Bomb. So you can kind of see how we're going to get absolutely brutalized in this matchup. And, you know, learn from the greats, right? So this is the way that you got to learn. Run out the speeder because hopefully it'll stick around. And then I think I'm going to end up taking Deadly Hunters there, which I think is probably incorrect. I think I just need to dig for answers if I can get them. I know that the rock is going to have to heal me. Like, that's very clear. So, yeah. Get to ping that, which is actually really pivotal, right? Because it puts it in the backlash range of the squig, which sucks. Yeah, I don't know if Deadly Hunters was the right thing there. Yeah, so I get the ping, hoping that this will survive. Obviously hit there, not going to deploy anything until it blows up, but kills the Ravenwing Speeder, which sucks. We are down on life. We are very much on the back foot. I do Grim Effigy just to, miracle a, maybe a relevant secret, but that's probably the worst one because they're not going to play a ton of threats. They're just going to play through the Warlord. And here I just go, you know what? All right, I make my Intercessors. I don't really have anything better to do. So I'll just play out my Intercessors and, hope that, just to hang in here. So I will say, I think the offense card does obviously a ton of work. So I don't know how this matchup plays out without it. But I still think this is, a pretty scary, very aggro-focused version of Gordrang. And I could see why it can do well, right? You basically just ignore units because you're healing and truly just hit face. Face is the place, as Ecclesiarch always says. And I'm not going to lie, probably going to try running a version of this Gordrang build because it'll be quick games and should be pretty fun. So here again, we just I think I played this a little too slow. I think I just have to deploy some of these flank units and just use their bodies. I'm happy to see the Deathwing Knight because that'll get Vanguard when we deploy it. But here I just take the time to heal myself, which is also reasonable. Just try and hang in here because anytime you get in the 10 to 12 range, you could just get killed. We know they have Makari. All they have to have is, the double attack card. I'm blanking on it right now. So, yeah. And the Warbiker, too, is just putting us in range of just about anything that, that the orcs may have. So my best hope of living here is just somehow not getting burned out. And also playing around, no mucking about. So I choose to play it this way. I basically just have to use my Warlord to clear that, knowing I'm going extremely low. But I need the little guy to stick around here. Because I need to have a unit that could soak no mucking about. So we try to play around that. But as you know, there's a million ways we could die here, even just to the void combat. And I think that's actually exactly what happens. But so huge chopper first, gain the 2. See where the ping goes. Ping hits there. Which I'm happy to see, of course. And then Scorch, I'm like, oh, I'm dead. I actually don't die to Scorcha, but then I die to the Void Assault. So GG. Honestly, still sort of a close game if we were able to stabilize. Like, it's not like we got... I mean, we did get run over, but... so it was a GG with Lionel, and I definitely wanted to show off something that it could be a reasonable sort of counter strategy to Dark Angels. All right, folks, that's what I got for you today, bringing you to the Teleportation Station. I love this deck. It's straightforward. It's powerful. It also has a lot of lines of play, as you saw in some of those longer games in particular. I just think this is probably the thing to be doing. I think there are probably some tweaks I can do. I got to spend a little bit more time playing this, getting some more games under my belt. But it's been overwhelmingly positive. Basically, just the high, kind of the high roll, like Void Assault stuff with orcs, or I've gotten a little got by, a really insane kind of high roll with Chaos, where I can't remove a unit, and then I'm sort of stuck. And so that might be a reason to play one of the 4-drop bounce teleport stuff. So I might try and make some room for that. I'm not sure what I would cut, but I actually think this is probably the deck for it. So that might be worth trying. But let me know what you think. Thanks for sticking around for the whole video. If you did, I hope these games kind of showcase the strengths and some of the weaknesses, especially at the end here, and what you probably will come to expect over the next couple of weeks in the meta games. So thanks as always for sticking with me, and I'll catch you guys next time.